So today I'm here with Ron McIntyre. Welcome, Ron.
Thanks, Jeff.
So why don't we get started with just sharing a little bit about yourself and and your business.
Okay, well, my primary business is Transformative Leadership Group, and the main purpose that I started the company for was to train and develop leaders. After 40 years in corporate leadership, I found that we were still struggling with many levels. From mid to senior leaders were falling into communication problems, leadership problems. That's why we have what Gallup refers to as the disengagement crisis. And I'm very much involved in that whole dialogue. But then I also found that I have a desire to help people. So I have a license to sell life insurance and health insurance. And I also have an AFLAP practice. So try to do all of that with everybody.
Okay. So a little bit more about yourself, though, before we get into the business, because we will. There's a lot of factors that drive people to go into business. And, so if we could take a minute and just kind of share, what really drove you to go into business, and how does that tie to your passions?
Well, first of all, when I left my last company, which was a $16 billion company, and I left when I was 65. I'm now 68, and I'm finding the marketplace was not receptive to seeing me back in the marketplace for anything other than a consultant role or some type of contract type role. And I felt at my age, I don't want to retire. I have no desire to retire. My kids are all grown. It's just my wife and I. And we enjoy traveling. We enjoy getting out. And so I have no desire to retire. And I have a passion for helping people. And so I'm trying to put all of that together into one package.
Okay.
And while it's a struggle, I'm enjoying it.
Nobody said it was going to be easy, right?
Exactly.
Okay, so back to your business. So you enjoy helping people, and
right.
Based on most of the people that I talk to, they share that same passion as well. So what gets you excited when you're working with people? What really gets you excited and makes you say, I'm going to do this tomorrow and again and again and again?
Well, any glimmer of hope that I see in a person's eyes or in their voice or in their body language, it tells me they're getting the message and they want to make a change. That keeps me excited, because so often, particularly as coaches, we can change with people, and they say, well, I'm going to do this tomorrow, and they go to follow up with them and they haven't done anything with it. So it can be very discouraging from that standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
But anytime I see that trigger, that light bulb going on in their eyes, that's what keeps me going, because it may be a minuscule one in one person, but it's enough to keep me trudging ahead.
Right. Yeah, no doubt about it. And so, what's that? Give me an example of what one of those triggers are. Like, do they have those aha moments with you? I mean,
yeah, primary what I look for is people that will, when we're talking, they'll take notes.
Mm-hmm.
Good indicator that they're going to do something with them.
Right.
If we're just chatting and they're not taking any notes, then I have no thoughts that it's going to go anywhere other than conversation.
Right.
I'll look for them to ask me questions. If they ping me back with emails, or if they ping me back with phone calls, that's a good trigger.
Right.
It means I've tripped on something that they want to go deeper on or disagree with me on, or something that triggers something that completes the conversation.
Right. Yeah. I completely understand. Completely.
Yeah. And that's what I look for.
That engagement.
Exactly.
What level of engagement? Some people are, I'm sure, super engaged and excited and gung-ho, and you got others that, you get that little light bulb that flickers every now and then and gives you that jolt of energy to keep moving.
Yeah. The hard part is the ones that are excited when you're with them and you're talking through the various things that we coach them on. But then you don't hear anything from them in a week or 2 weeks until your next session. And then I always start the next session out with, well, how'd you do last time? What did you apply? How did you apply it? What was the result? Mm-hmm. And when I get this done, how did it look? Well, I really didn't do anything. That to me is disappointing, but it also is indicative of what we deal with today in society in general. Mm-hmm. We have I get criticized for saying apathetic attitude, but in reality we do in many areas.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's tough. And, wearing the coach's hat is sometimes a tough job, I'm sure. You're not necessarily there to be nice. You're there to push them forward. And, so I'm sure it's nice to see, more good guys than in those conversations.
Right.
Yeah.
Especially when you're talking about things like engagement, because everybody thinks that they engage and everybody thinks that they connect, but in reality, all they're doing is communicating.
Right.
And it's very difficult to get them to understand the difference of what it takes to be truly engaged.
Right. No doubt about it. So, when you to get through the daily grind and you have some wins, you have some, tough conversations and whatnot, what keeps you going? What keeps you on top of your game? Keeps your attitude moving, the momentum, moving forward on a day-to-day basis?
Yeah, I won't lie. There's dates I don't want to hit the wall and say forget it. But in general, what I find is that I do a tremendous amount of reading. I block out time for reading. I block out time for Bible study. I block out time for socializing with family, and then everything else fits in amongst that.
Right.
So if I really look at it, I do a lot of social media, which I love because I love to keep people dialoguing there, and that's a growth factor. It doesn't happen right away.
Right.
And that's something I'm learning more and more about is how do I trigger the questions that'll stimulate a Twitter response, for example. How do I do the same thing in Facebook? How do I do the same thing in Instagram and all the rest of them that we have? So that's what keeps me going.
Right. I mean, is there anything, so you say you block out, you do a tremendous amount of reading. Anything good lately?
I'm finding that the world of engagement is rapidly changing from what I'm used to. We're finding new ways to engage. There's new software that people are developing that claim to engage people. But what I'm finding is when you dig under the covers, most of that is not being adopted. The software is great,
right? But
until you build the culture that's willing to adopt it,
right,
you're going to spend the money and not getting results.
I agree. I just actually stumbled upon there's a new app out there for loyalty programs, and so it looked really interesting. The software was cool. Created an account, and then I got in, and it's a community type thing, but there's hardly any engagement in the system. So yeah, I could see the software's moving way faster than the culture, right?
Exactly, and that's the thing. That's why I've sort of backtracked on the engagement side and said, well, we need to change culture first,
right?
Because the culture has to be willing to accept anything that we bring to it, because if it doesn't, it's going to fragment and it's going to basically get even more disengaged if you try to force it down their throat.
Right.
So that's such a challenge.
Right. So, if you had to give a couple of tidbits of advice to people that are venturing out or thinking about venturing out on their own, what would you share with them?
Number of things. Number one, don't expect it to happen overnight. Don't accept all of the hype that's on the internet, because I'm a John Maxwell coach, and I've been to the meeting. I know what the meetings are about, and they'll get you all hyped up. But it still takes time. It takes effort, and it takes being able to stand up and talk to people and be transparent to make it work. All of the hype that's there, it keeps you charged, but it doesn't keep you focused on what you need to do. You need to do that yourself. And as far as it taking time, that's the critical piece. So many people want it to happen right now, and it doesn't. I can sit here and say, for example, when you talk to Aflac and they say, well, you should be writing business right away because it's got 96 brand recognition. Well, it does, but you still have to educate people on what it is and why it's there. And that's, of course, that's what I love to do, is educate people, but it's just one of those things. It's another part of the trial and error, finding your niche and being able to communicate in that niche.
Right.
So that's the key, just finding where you're comfortable, being able to operate in that area, and find like-minded people to help you grow.
It's good advice. It's good advice.
Yeah.
So if people were trying to get a hold of you, what would you tell them to do?
Easiest way is to email me. And that's at ron@tlg-rwme.us. I'm more apt to get it that way. They can call 630-935-3326. That's my cell phone. It's always on. I may not always answer it, but it's always on. But I do have voicemail, and I do return voicemails. So that if they want to get a hold of me, that's the easiest way.
As far as like, so do you offer free consultations or what?
I do offer free 30-minute phone conversations initially to talk through what your objectives are. What do you want to get out of, if you want to do coaching, what do you want to get out of it? I'll talk about, in fact, I'm having a meeting tomorrow with a guy that wants to talk about marketing. And I basically ask a lot of questions. Then I can develop what I can help you with. I have a website for marketing. I have my own website for the coaching, and Aflac has its own website, and so does Healthcare Solutions, who's my healthcare provider.
Okay.
So they can go to any one of those, get more information.
That sounds good. Is there anything else, any other tidbits you want to share about your business?
Well, basically, it's one that I think we need to understand, and is what you guys are doing with it, which is with Growthpot. I mean, in my mind, Growthpot is still a very viable way for small businesses to interchange ideas, cross-cultural platform, spreading messages out to other users that you normally wouldn't have access to. Right. And I still think it's a great tool. It's still, people are struggling with understanding it, but I think it's just going to take some time.
I think it's that culture thing that you were talking about.
Yeah, and here it's partly without cramming it down somebody else's throat or constantly having to promote, because what you're trying to do is share knowledge and hopefully you'll get business out of it, and it takes time.
Right.
That's the thing.
Yep. So, as far as the network is concerned, we've been around for a couple of weeks now, and obviously, the CoOpvertising Network is an extension of Growthpot, and what we're trying to do is educate people on our methodologies as far as opening the doors to new relationships and how to work together, and hopefully they'll take the next steps and want to cross promote in a deeper engagement in Growthpot. But in the short amount of time that we've been going, what do you think about the network so far?
I'm finding it helpful. I'm not sure that I've found my place on it yet. and strictly from the standpoint because I'm so broad in what I do.
Right.
And there are other people that are on there that do the insurance side like I do, so that somewhat of a competitive situation, but that's fine. I mean, we're all in it to help people. If we're in it to help people, then as long as I get a policy, that's up to them who they work with.
Right.
So from that standpoint, I think it's good. It allows that exposure.
Yeah.
I'd like to see a little more sharing of general thoughts in time, but I think that'll come in.
Yeah, I think it's going to take a little bit of time. And that's where, the shift in, I guess, mentality on what people are typically thinking, because, naturally people want to just they want to promote their business, and that's fine. But once they get in, hopefully they start to realize that, it's more about relationships first. And, if you can establish your relationships, then people will share beyond belief. And, it's just what are those strategies to, open up the doors and then do it faster. And, how we tell people to do things. I mean, if you share more and engage more with others, it'll come back tenfold. So.
You're absolutely right. I mean, if I look at the whole idea, in fact, I have a friend of mine that together we talk quite a bit about this thing called relationship capital. And that is a real thing.
Yeah.
It has to be authentic. It has to be transparent. It has to be high integrity.
Right.
For people to want to continue to engage.
Right.
Because if you're constantly hitting them over the head, boom, 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 they're going to tune you out eventually.
Right.
And that's what I'm finding today.
Right. No, that's good. That's good advice. So that's that's pretty much all the time that we have, and I do appreciate your insight, your thoughts, and look forward to more participation, on the network and obviously through Growthpot.
All right. I appreciate the time, Jeff. And you have a good day.
Okay, you too.
Yep.